Hello students, as you are watching on the screen, the chapter name is Auditor's Report and Auditor Certificate. In this video we will talk about the whole chapter information which is to be included as in the subjects of auditing as far as the reports of auditor and the certificates of auditor is being concerned. So in this video we will talk about several other things which contains an high level of marks to better succeed in your examinations. So first of all, we are going to talk about auditor's report. If we talk about auditor's report, then first of all we need to consider a simple definitions which is given according to Joseph Lincolnstein. Joseph Lincolnstein. He has given the definitions of auditor report, which is a report is a kind of a statement. A report is a statement of collected and considered facts so drawn up as to give clear and concise information to persons who are already in possession of the full facts of the subject matter of the report. This is the definition which needs to be taken into consideration as far as the auditor's report is being concerned. Now I am going towards its main characteristics of the above definitions. The definitions which I have said in the above paragraph contains some characteristics. So I am going to speak upon total characteristics which is to be included as far as these definitions is been concerned. So under this, the first characteristics is the audit report is the summary of the work performed by the auditor. This is the first characteristics. Second, the report clarifies the conclusions derived by the auditor after completing his audit work. It's the second characteristics. Third, the auditor furnishes some important suggestions in the report if asked so. This is the third. Fourth, the report must contain the signatures of the auditor. This is fourth. Fifth, the report supplies brief and accurate information. Sixth, auditor's report may be true or qualified. Seventh, generally, an auditor gives his report to the employer. Eighth, auditor's report is an opinion of the auditor regarding the financial accounts of the organization. Ninth, auditor's report is not the guarantee of truthness of the books of accounts, rather it is the presentations of an opinion of the auditor regarding the books of accounts. And 10th, auditor's report is concerned with the period of his audit work of the concern. These are the main characteristics of the above definition which I have clarified in a slowly way. Now I am moving towards the content of auditor's report. Content of auditor's report. According to section 143 subsection 3 of the Companies Act 2013, the auditor reports shall state what are the main contents of report. It should be well informations and explanations, means the report should state whether he has obtained all the informations and explanations which to the best of his knowledge and belief were necessary for the purpose of audit. Second, regarding necessary books of account, which means whether in his opinion the proper books of accounts as required by law have been kept by the company so far as appears from his examinations, and proper return adequate for the purposes of his audit have been received from the branch not visited by him. I have not written each and every point because it needs to be it requires a large space. That's why I have written the content of report and I am speaking upon all the contents which is to be included under this section. You please take a pen and a copy and note down each and every content which I am speaking upon. Now I am moving towards the third, regarding a statement of profit and loss balance sheet, which means whether the company's balance sheet and the statement of PL dealt within the report are in agreement with the books of account and return. Fourth, regarding branch audit, whether the report on the account of any branch office audited under subsection 8 by a person other than a company's auditor has been forwarded to him as required under the provisions of that section, and the means in which he has dealt with the same in preparing the auditor's report. Fifth, regarding observations or comments. The observations or comments of the auditors on the financial transactions or matter which have any adverse effect on the functioning of the company. Next, regarding maintenance of account. Any qualifications, reservations, or adverse remark relating to the maintenance of accounts and other matters connected therewith. Next, regarding the disqualifications of any director. Whether any director is disqualified from being appointed as a director under subsection 2 of section 164. And next, regarding internal financial control. Whether the company has adequate internal financial control system and the operative effectiveness of such controls. Any such matter as may be prescribed under Rule 11 of Companies Act, that means Audit and Auditors, Rule 2014, which come under content of the auditor's report. These are the content of auditor's report. Now I am moving towards the element which needs to be taken care of included in the auditor's report. Here one thing is there, as per the SA 700 revised on forming an opinion and reporting on financial statement, the audit report should be in writing and should contain some elements. Those elements are like title, address, introductory paragraph, management responsibility for the financial statements, which means the part of an auditor's report describes the responsibility of management who are responsible for preparation of financial statements. And next, auditor's responsibility, auditor's opinion, other reporting responsibility. In other reporting responsibility, which needs to be taken care of, which means an auditor find necessary, there shall be the separate heading report on other legal and regulatory requirements. Next is signature of the auditor, which act as an element of audit report. Date of the auditor's report should be mentioned on that report, and the place of signature, which means an auditor's report shall specify the city where it is signed. So these things are there which needs to be taken care of as far as the elements of auditor's report is being concerned. Now there are some important factors also which needs to be taken care of while preparing the auditor's report. What are those factors? First is simplicity. It should be a simple. Next is in different paragraph. I will speak upon these things. Here it is written, but before these things I would like to clarify what are the types of report. So if it asks about types of report, the first is on the basis of scope. On the basis of scope, there are three divisions. First is final report, interim report, and partial report. Final report means after all working of checking full year. After all work of checking full year annual report is called final report. Interim report, if in midterm, quarterly, some businessmen prepare report so they can be audited, and that report will be called as interim report. Next is partial report. Sometimes we say to do audit of just sales book, of just cash book, etc. Only so when the report is called as partial report. Next type of report is, which is the second basis, is means on the basis of nature. On the basis of nature, there are two divisions of report. First is unmodified report, which means it is called as clean report. It means after all checking, if we do not find any mistakes in concern, so that auditor report called as unmodified report. And second part is modified report. In after all checking any mistakes, limitations found by the auditor, then it is called as modified report. Then report is called as modified report or qualified report. This is the types of report. There are two types we can categorize this on the basis of scope, that is final report, interim report, partial report, and on the basis of nature, unmodified report and modified report. Modified report and unmodified report there is slight difference also. We will talk about later on. Now it is importance of audit report. Yes, importance of audit report is for several peoples also, like shareholder, director, creditors. So first we will talk about shareholders. There are some shareholders who do not want to come in meetings, like in AGMs. So by the auditor report, they can know about the company that their financial position are in sound positions or not. So this is the importance for auditor report as far as the shareholder is being concerned. Next is director. Director calls the people involved in work of accounting are worked in effective way or not. Director calls the people involved in the work of accounting that they are working in effective way or not. If auditor report is true and fair, then honesty will be shown. Next is creditors. To check the company's financial position, it is sound or not, whether they get good amount or not, is much pretty more necessary to check auditor's report. Next is government. Government checks the auditor report as for that they have shown the tax amount or not, and how much amount is paid and how much amount is pending. These things should be checked by the government with the help of auditor's report. Next is income tax authority. Sometimes sole trading not need to do auditing, but if they done auditing, so according to which they had filed income tax return, so IT authority can't scold them if they paid the wrong amount. Next is cooperative society. According to their auditor's report, it is seen whether members are working like an NGO form, or they are working in a motive of helping or not. Next is sole trading business. Need not to make the auditor report for the sole trading business, but if they have a large scale of business, then they needs to check whether the peoples are working or not. So due to which they need to make the auditor's report. Next is partnership firm. Here it is no compulsion. If an active partner is participate, sleeping partner will not participate. He get information with the audit report. So these are the things on which we can categorize the audit report's importance. Next is important factor that keep in the mind while preparing the auditor's report. What are the important factor that needs to be taken in the mind when we are preparing the auditor's report? In this, the first is simplicity. An auditor should prepare his report in the simple language so that it is understandable by each and every person. Next is in different paragraph. Auditor report should be divided in different paragraphs so that the everything included in the report can be easily understandable. Next is report should be prepared in the name of persons who require it. Means the auditor should prepare his report in the name of those persons who require it. For example, in the case of company, the statutory report should be in the name of shareholders. In the case of partnership firm, the report should be addressed to its partner. Next is brief. Yes, it is very important. Our auditor report should be in brief. Means while preparing audit report, the auditor should keep in mind that the report should be in brief, but it should be prepared in such a way that no important matter is left. This is also needs to be taken care of. Next is unbiased. Means report should be unbiased. An auditor report should not be biased. Once, since the auditor is treated to be an independent person, he should met favor either the board of director or the shareholders. Next is it should be effective. The auditor report should be effective. If it is met so, it will not create a good impressions over the shareholders and the person concerned. Next is it should be written in polite language. The auditor's report should be written in polite language. Harsh word should not be used by the auditor in his report. Date and place should be stated in the report. In auditor's report, the date and the place must be stated at the end so that it is clear that the report has been written on what date and when the audit of the accounts of the company has been finished off. Next is only important results shown should be incorporated in it. Means only important results should be stated in the auditor's report, which the auditors has concluded after examining the books of account. Next is suggestions. In common course, the auditor does not give any suggestions, but if he is requested to do so, he should furnish the valuable suggestions. Next is report with list of data. Means an auditor should furnish his report along with the list of necessary and important data. Next is it must reveal the shortcomings. An audit report should clearly pinpoint the shortcomings so that the corrective action may be taken on time. Next is it must comply with legal requirement. An auditor must comply with legal requirements where applicable. For example, in the case of company audit, it should comply with the legal requirement as laid down under sections of the Companies Act 2013. So these are the important factors that needs to be keep in mind while preparing the auditor report. Yeah, one more point is there that it must comply with prevalent standards. It must comply with prevalent standard auditing practices. Means an auditor report must comply with generally accepted accounting principles, that means GAAP, and prevalent standard accounting practices as laid down by the controlling professional bodies. For example, it should follow the standards of accounting and auditing practices as recommended by the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. The word chartered accountant should be used in that report. At the end of the auditor report, after putting his signature, the auditor must use the word chartered accountant. So this is the important factor that needs to be keep in mind while preparing the auditor report. Now I am moving towards the objective of auditor's report. What are the objective of auditor report? Here the first objective is provide complete and clear cut information, which means the audit report is of great importance for the person concerned with the firm, especially the members of the organization who are the owners of the organization require complete and fair information regarding the organization. This object is fulfilled by the auditor's report. Next is provide informations of true financial positions and profitability. Yes, it is very important. Various financial institutions who are engaged in financing the business, they require information regarding the financial position and profitability of the organization when they provide loans to them. Since the auditor is very much with the audit of balance sheet and statement of profit loss, he knows all about the financial position and profitability of the organization concerned, and when the work of audit is over, he has to give his audit report to his client. This report includes all about the financial positions and profitability of the business concern. By going through this report, a financial institutions can get a lot of information regarding the organization. Thus, the object of audit report is to provide this type of information. Next is helpful in assessment of income tax, which means determinations of true income tax protect the interest of both organization and the government. For this, the correct representation, quote my words, I am quoting it, the correct representation of statement of PL is a statement which is certified by the auditor and mention it is in the report. By going through the auditor's report, income tax authority is in a position to assess the tax of the organization concerned correctly. Thus, it is one of the objects of auditor report to help the income tax authority in assessing the correct amount of tax. Next is helpful in determining the excise duty. In the modern industry age, determinations of excise duty is of great importance. Auditor's report helps the government to get the information regarding the production of material to be assessed for excise duty. Thus, auditor's report also proves to be helpful in determining the excise duty. Next is clarifications of true and fair view, which means when the work of audit is over, an auditor has to give his opinion regarding the books of account of the organization, that whether they represent true and fair positions of the concern. If the auditor gives the clean report, it means the books of accounts represent true and fair view of organization. Thus, it is also an important object of audit report. And at last, it is to give suggestions to management, which means during the course of audit, if the auditor finds shortcomings in the books of account, important suggestions are given by him to the management to overcome them. Thus, it is also an important object of auditor's report. That's all for auditor's report. Now I am moving towards this auditor's certificates. Auditor certificate also plays a very important role because it acts as an report which can't auditor report can't be 100% true, but yes, certificate will be treated as 100% true, because certificate is a kind of thing which is given by an auditor if everything of a business concern is at its correct position, as its correct view. So first of all, I am going to talk about its meaning. which is certifying some certain facts means to accept their exactness. Here the word is exactness. Certifying some certain fact means to accept the exactness. Thus, when an auditor certifies any financial statement, which means he has examined the truthfulness of financial statement data. Thus, it is clear that the term certificate can be used only when an auditor certifies the truthfulness of certain facts, that is, certifications of number of sales of account books, certification of the value of import and export of a company, and etc. Therefore, when an auditor issues the certificate of truthfulness of some specific facts of an organization after verifying them, it is called auditor's certificate. This is the perfect definition of auditor certificate. An auditor is a very much important, and auditing is very much important if you are giving auditor certificate. An auditor is considered to be a specialist of books of account, accounting system, and related acts and statutes. These knowledge of the auditor is utilized by the various organizations for their benefit. That is, the auditor, after examining the books of account, certifies that the books of account have been maintained in compliance with the related laws and reveal the true and fair view of financial state of the organization. There are certain circumstances when auditor certificate is considered to be necessary. And what are those circumstances in which the auditor certificate is very much necessary? In this, the first is for statutory report. In a statutory report, auditor's report must be enclosed. In a statutory report, auditor report must be enclosed as regards to the number of shares allotted, amount received from the allotted shares, and other receipts and payment. In the absence of auditor certificate, the statutory report is considered invalid. Next is for prospectus. According to the Companies Act 2013, any old company, if wishes to issue the new shares into the market, it has to issue the prospectus first. This prospectus must include the auditor certificate related to the profit and loss, assets and liability, and dividend of the previous 5 years of the company. Next is for liquidations. In the case of the liquidations of the company, the statement regarding the reformation's capability of the company given by the director of the company is considered valid only if the auditor certificate is attached to it. In this certificate, the auditor furnished information regarding the profit and loss account and balance sheet. Next is under import consideration. While applying for import certificate, as a rule, the application must be supported by auditor certificate. Import certificate cannot be obtained without producing the auditor's certificate. For other purposes. What are those other purposes? Auditor certificate is also required for determinations of income tax, for taking the loan from financial institution, and etc. It is also useful in verifying the books of accounts of a company. So these are the facts and the figures as far as the auditor certificate and the reports of auditor is being concerned. I have explained you a lot of data which includes in auditor report and auditor certificate. If we need to differentiate between auditor's report and auditor's certificate, then what will be the one point? If I ask you that give me the 1 point differentiation between auditor report and auditor certificate, so what will be the 1 point? That 1 point you can write that in auditor's report column, it is a suggestion given by auditor after auditing which is not 100% accurate. We can say auditor report is an opinion of an auditor, but in auditor certificate it provides 100% accuracy for which the item it is provided. So this is the 1 point difference for auditor reports and certificate, and I have explained you each and every kind of data which is written by me here itself. It is the best way to you can say to communicate any knowledge by writing on a notepad. So thank you for listening me. Thank you for writing it, and I request you that you write each and every explanation which is given by me here on this forum in your personal copy of auditing. So do like, share and comment your views in the comment section of this video, and if you have any kind of doubt, and I will love to reply in the comment section, and any video which is you are in need of any kind of subject related to BCom will be appreciated by me. Okay, so do subscribe my channel Manish Kumar Verma Important Topics to get all important lectures regarding the BCom. Thank you.